And welcome back to a pre-recorded Lantern Corp video. And you'll notice that things are looking a little different here. Why is that? Well, if you read the title, oh yeah, I'm going to just be stroking my own ego for a little bit right now. Oh yeah, so actually only one person asked me this, but I figured I'd get it out of the way because it's just been sitting there for a while. So, actually that's a good question. Who gave me the suggestion again? Irish Tom asked the question. What Lantern Corp does Clockwork Highlander myself belong in? I believe it or not, this actually because I talk nerd stuff with my friends all the time. Mark, other friend of ours, we've had these conversations before. I've even deduced which Lantern Corps I think other people would qualify in. But yeah, I mean, when you think about what Lantern Corp would you want and which one do you think you would be in? It's a fair question. Unfortunately, no matter how I splice this, there's going to be some level of bias because I'm biased because it is me. I would try to be legitimately serious and legitimately impartial with the way I would factor in which corp I belong into. But let's be honest, no matter how impartial I am, I'm going to be impartial. That's just the way it is. So there's nothing I can do in this that's not going to be like, oh, you just want to give yourself the cool. It's like, no, it's the best I can think of for my own personality. I mean, if you want a unbiased opinion of what Lantern Corp I think I belong in, it's not which one I think I belong in, it's which one other people think I belong in. So, I mean, right out the gate, let's get a couple of these out of the way before I even go into the main one. So, I'm obviously not a Black Lantern Corp member, as I have never had a near-death experience in my life. I've never temporarily died. I do not go out murdering and worship death, and I'm not dead. So, Black is right off the table. I also don't consider myself greedy enough I mean, look, we all have a level of greed in us. We all have a level of avarice, no matter how big or small it is. Unless you're like a monk. And even then, your avarice, believe it or not, I would think even a monk is has somewhat avarice in them, because their avarice is selfish desire to just be left alone, just be peaceful, all that, and do but the desire to keep doing that, there's a level of avarice to that. It's so minuscule as to not even qualify, but there's a level of avarice. We all have a level of avarice. Mine, I just don't think is on the level of, I love getting magic cards, but I can go a good while without ever buying magic cards. So it's like, if I can stop myself from getting myself something, then it's not avarice enough for the qualification of the Orange Lantern Corps. Then we have the Indigo Lantern Corps. Now, this one will be tough, especially because I know these Lantern Corps. It's not unlike any of these other characters that we have here who wouldn't know what this ring is. I know what all these rings do, so I would willingly reject some of these rings if they came to me. I do consider myself a very compassionate person, but only for the people who really deserve it. There are people I have no compassion for whatsoever, and therefore I don't think I could qualify because I am neither the most compassionate person in the world, nor am I the least compassionate person in the world, and those are the two requirements for a Indigo Ring of Compassion. Then I was over at Mark's last night, we were hanging out, and he flat out says, yeah, we were talking about a scenario. It's like, well, this could happen because, look, A, you're not very intimidating. It's like, he's not entirely wrong. I don't give off an air of intimidation. So unfortunately, fear isn't really a strong category for me. Despite the fact that I'm actually in relatively good shape, and I'm not without muscle or definition. I'm a skinny twig white boy with mutton chops most of the time with glasses. Take out the glasses and maybe get a slightly grumpier attitude. Maybe I could be a bit more intimidating, but obviously I don't really need to be intimidating because I feel it's probably better that I'm not intimidating. That way, if someone ever does try to F with me, I'd be like, look, dude, we don't have to do anything. If they try, I could be like, just no, and then take them down real quick and be like, okay, see, that's the problem. You didn't find me a threat, and now your ass is on the floor. So yeah, there's that. And last one I'd really talk about is, I'll talk about the white one real quick. I'm alive. So in theory, I could qualify for the Lantern Corp Alive, but I don't go thrill seeking very much. I mean, I take care of my dog and stuff like that. And I love my dog and pets, so but I don't do a really good job at nurturing life. Not that I couldn't. Like like, watered my girlfriend's garden every day when while she was away, before fall came and killed it, and we just took everything we could out of that. Um, yeah, but I'm just not really a White Lantern qualifier. I don't think. And last but not least, I will admit, as a kid, I actually had some rage problems as a kid. I had some emotional problems as a kid. But as these things go on, life goes on, you learn to control, deal with these things. I still have a temper. I will fully admit that. But it's one of those things where I'll just get increasingly. Like when I was at work on Saturday, I was having to readjust some shelves. And because of the way the shelves were designed, like up against the wall, and I couldn't move the racking out, I was getting more and more pissed off with how this wasn't working. Um, so I was definitely getting upset, but it's not something I think fuels me. It's not the driving force of my nature. And with rage, someone brought up a comment about you needing the rage of loss to be a Red Lantern. I don't know where they got that idea. You don't need the rage. You just need to be you just need to be angry. Like true, like Hulk anger. Hulk is the embodiment of rage. Ergo, he would have a Red Lantern ring. It's not it's not a rage of loss. It's just pure rage. So I'm not sure where they got that. I'm sure there are Red Lanterns who are Red Lanterns because of that. But I never felt. I mean, to go into personal life real quick, when my mother died, there was probably a level of anger about why it happened, but it was more just sorrow and sadness that my mother was gone, less so than rage. So even with the little rage I had there, I don't think I would have qualified for a Red Lantern. Now I don't want to go into that kind of conversation, but if someone had taken her life, that might have been a different scenario, but I still don't think I would have been driven by red. Because I actually had rage issues as a kid, to some degree, emotional issues, I've really learned to temper that and really learned to control. Even when I get angry, I keep it really in check most of the time. Like, I don't go out of my way to just beat someone's ass. I don't go out of my way to just scream and shout. Although that does happen occasionally when I think we actually all need that moment of just venting that primal rage, scream, just like if you're in your car driving, you just give a scream. You're just like, I'm so fed up. We need that sometimes, but I've never felt like that's driven me at all. I've never felt like that's been a deciding factor in my life. So I don't think I could qualify for a Red Lantern. With that out of the way, let's actually talk about the ones I think I could qualify for. So, boop, and let's shrink me down a little bit. Boop. Back down here I go. I'm all tiny. Green Lantern ring, I feel like would be a good qualifier for me. I mean, again, I talk about dealing with 2020 on its own. I was one of the. I'm not saying this to brag. I'm actually saying this to understand what I've been dealing with through 2020. When the pandemic hit, I work in a pet store, and pet stores were deemed essential. So I kept working throughout the whole pandemic. And let me tell you something. When you close your doors and can only have people drive around and do curbside, your business suffers, and the amount of work you have to do actually has to double, because we were having phone calls constantly every minute or so. So I had to go rush back, rush forth, rush back, rush forth. Then you factor in the pandemic itself. Then you factor in, I'm not going to get into politics beyond saying our presidency is horrifying. Yeah, our current White House is just terrifying and horrifying. You factor that in, then you factor in that my relatives and loved ones' family are suffering with their own disease and all that. My girlfriend's currently out dealing with family matters right now. And through all this, I'm still able to put on a smile and do this. That's a lot of willpower. That's just 2020. Again, going back to my mother passing, that happened on Christmas Day. Are you kidding me? Christmas is never the same now. We do our best as a family to try to just enjoy the holiday, because we know that's what my mother would have wanted. But it doesn't change the fact it's hard every freaking year. So you were telling me you wanted to look at me in the face and say I wouldn't be a good candidate for a Green Lantern, overcoming adverse odds, willpower, and fear? I mean, I think I'd be actually a pretty good shoo-in for a Green Lantern, if I'm going to be honest. But that being said, there are 2 other Lantern Corps when I've actually looked it over. I'm like, I probably could be one of these 2 as well. One of them, honestly, I could be a Sapphire. I could rally that Sapphire thong. I think I could. Yeah, get that little, that V shirt going. Show up for the ladies and the fellas. Whoever's into. Because love, obviously, Sapphire is an Lantern Corps of love. And I do feel like love is a very big important factor in my life. That I do everything out of love? Not necessarily, but do I do a lot of the things I do that I do out of love? Yeah, because I love my family. I want my father to be around as long as possible, despite the butting heads I'll sometimes have with my sister. I love my sister. I love my girlfriend. I love my friends. So I want to see all of them as happy as I am capable of making them. So love I think is actually a very strong component of my life, and I think would be a factor in this. I think the last one that I think actually it's weird. I think this is the weakest of the 3, which sucks because it's one of my favorite Lantern Corps, but it's the Blue Lantern Corps of Hope. Now, hope is one of 2. One, it's the amount of hope that you instill in others, and the amount of hope others have in you. So when it comes to hope in my life, and the amount of hope you carry as well, let's be clear about that. I always hold out hope for something, but I always think that you do need to have hope in life. Because if you don't have hope, then you're just leading a bleak, meaningless existence at that point. Very sad, meaningless existence. And frankly, it's one of those things where if you don't try, you're never going to get anywhere. But if you don't have something to try for, it's even worse. And while I am someone who enjoys the comfort of familiarity and, if that's a word, comfort of the routine, comfort of just having the base life, there is a hope for more out there. I hope one day, and it's more so that I could hit a scratch ticket, because I sometimes get a scratch ticket now and then. That would be like, it doesn't have to be huge, $10,000, a $10,000 scratch ticket. Could seriously help out my household. That would do so much for my household. Hell, $5,000 scratch ticket would be great. But that's little hopes there. I hope that my friends who are in relationships stay in those relationships, stay happy. I hope that my friends who are single are able to find someone, and I keep that hope because I know they will find someone there. Because some of the people, my friends who are single, they are are great people, and I know they're great, wonderful, beautiful people, and I know they can find someone someday. I hope that my relationship lasts. I hope that, I hold a lot of hope, and I keep that hope, and I keep that faith, and I keep that confidence. Does my hope waver on certain days? Sure. Everyone's hope does. It's very rare you're going to find someone who is so steadfast in their beliefs and hopes. But it's very possible you can find them. In terms of but all this, on the flip side of that coin, it's a lot of people, I'm always there, especially when people need advice on stuff. I'm usually one of the people they kind of go to, and I'm trying to, uplift them and keep that smile on their face and make sure that they keep on the path that's, doing them their service, and that in turn does me a service by knowing that I help them out. So I feel like hope could be a good answer. The beauty of the blue and the green lantern rings is that they can actually you dual wield. They're one of the only rings you can actually dual wield. Because hope and will are actually very closely connected. Hope is fantastic, but without the will to act on it, it is just hope. It's just thoughts. But will is much more stronger when there's hopes and dreams put behind it. So they're on kind of like they're sister rings, basically. They're sibling rings. So ultimately, which one do I think I actually belong in the most? I do think, though, it is the Green Lantern. To be boring, unfortunately, I think it is the Green Lantern ring. But that is my opinion. I simply just think it fits me better as a person based on what my life experience than either the Sapphire ring or the Blue Lantern ring. But I think they're both pretty decent options, all things considered. But ultimately, that's just my opinion. Based on the little you know about me as a person, which Lantern Corp do you think I belong in? Put it in the comments below and let me know. But until then, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review at some point. If you want to hit that bell for notifications, you can do that as well. I got actually like two more videos at least to do today. So Stay tuned for those later on. Well, actually, no. Sorry, this is on Tuesday, so I already did those videos. Also, I don't know if they bumped the Death Battle. I just realized because I'm doing this Monday. I didn't even know because they didn't do Death Battle last week because they bumped it up to coincide with Red versus Blue something premiering. So I need to check if that's the case. If they bumped it to this week. I don't remember when they bumped it to. Anyway, I'll figure that out later. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time, folks.